So your first few rounds, are you happy as a whole?
Yeah, I think from a club perspective, we're really happy. If you look at the fixture, you look two ways commercially, having 5 of our first 9 games on national free to air, and then having some big teams come to South Australia to play against us. For our members and supporters to get along, I think it's a really good draw for us.
How important to lock in the Anzac round at home?
Yeah, well, that's something that the club historically has always asked for from the AFL, and it's something that we take great pride in actually hosting. So to have West Coast here on that day, we've got a fantastic relationship with the RSL. We'll do it well as we do every year, and hopefully we can put on a decent show.
How do you see the Friday night showdown fixture?
Yeah, fantastic. Obviously from that's Adelaide's home game, so we'll hopefully win the game. That's probably the most important thing for us.
Taken away from, I guess it is the Crows' home game. I mean, do you have any thoughts on it being on finally on a Friday night, but then being scheduled up against the big clash in Melbourne?
Oh no, look. Again, that's probably a question that you need to ask Adelaide. I'm sure that they had the conversation with the broadcasters in the AFL when they were asking for that. Our main priority obviously will be to win that game. It'll be a big game for us early in the year. We'll then turn our attention to the round 23 showdown, where obviously we'll be fixtured to be to be advised later on.
Just on that, I don't think we've had a showdown in the final round before. Maybe once in the past, but what are your thoughts on that?
Fine. Again, it'll be a game that we're looking to win. First and foremostly. If both teams are in a position to play in the finals, well, it'll be a good curtain raiser for that. If not, it'll be a big last game of the year for either team.
And what about the double-up teams? You've got some tough ones, but I guess that's what happens when you finish high at the end of the year.
Yeah, look, we'd rather it that way than the opposite, as you say. Having teams who historically have performed well is the price that you pay for being relatively successful in the minor round, which is what we've been over the last couple of years.
I think it's 7, you're playing 7 cities in 2022. Yeah, any thoughts on that? I mean, it seems like a bit more travel than usual.
That's only because we've had hubs and all that sort of stuff previously. We're comfortable travelling. I think we do it really well as a club. I know that Ken looks to galvanise the group every time we're away, and as I say, I think our record away from home is pretty decent. So, that doesn't hold any concerns for us. The fixture is what it is. We'll go away and we'll try and win every game, and that's we talk about the double-up games. We should be going into every game this year realistically thinking we can win them. So it doesn't really matter who we play twice.
Just on those tough games, why do you guys see it as a bit of an advantage or something you'd rather do early in the season, kicking it off, especially with Brisbane?
First and foremostly, the harder games are obviously come based on where you finished last year. So, we've had that level of success. We've got to continue to try and beat the best teams. When the time actually matters. But look, testing yourself throughout the year against the best teams is what you want to do, and if that means that we've got to play those teams twice, well, so be it. Obviously, we've had an away first game, for a significant amount of time over the last 7 or 8 years. Obviously, we'd like the AFL to rectify that at a point in time in the future as well.
Is that something that was pushed? The AFL?
Oh no, look, I imagine that ultimately they would look at home and away on a year-by-year basis. I think our last home first game was in 2018, and I think over Ken's time we've certainly been away a lot more than we have been at home. First round, but as I say, on the whole, really pleased with the fixture. I think as a club on the way up, to have both the commercial and also the membership angle for our people who want to go see the game live is significant.
I really think is it unfair? I guess is it unfair that you have to play away so much? I'm trying to think of a better word.
We, as I say, I imagine that alternate when you've got to play either home or away every year is something that the AFL would keep in mind into the future.
I expect as well you should be going to round 1 at absolute full strength. There's no sort of key players that are going to have interrupted start.
No, at the moment, I think most of the guys have come back really well. I think the biggest surgery that we had over the off season was Miles Bergman, who is back training and he's not in contact yet, but that'll happen in the new year. We're relatively fit right now, but I guess we're still 3 months away from playing. But we're pleased with where our pre-season is at the moment.
Any trip in particular you think the team and maybe Ken and the coaches might be looking forward to more than the others? I mean, you go like Alice Springs, Tasmania, I think Cairns as well.
Well, I guess it depends on the Cairns game. If we can get away during the middle of winter, that won't be a bad thing to look at. But look, we'll be focusing on round one, preparing as well as we can to get away to a good start against Brisbane and get the season going.
Each and every time this year, there's always one bloke who sort of maybe is sticking out on the track. Is there anyone we should be keeping an eye on that you expect to have a big year, almost like Miles Bergman last year?
Look, I mean, right now, as I say, all of our guys have come back in really good order. We're really pleased with what they've done over the off-season. So far from a track perspective, there's no doubt that Zach Butters is trying to put his best foot forward. Clearly with what he's been saying from a media perspective, he wants to go into the midfield and right now I would suggest that his pre-season, is going to back that up. He's been an outstanding Nick so far.
And Pep, it looks like he's responded to, I guess, the challenge that you laid down in front of him a couple of months ago, in good fashion.
Yeah, I mean, that was always going to be Sam's responsibility. The challenge will be not just to do it for the first 2 weeks of pre-season, it'll be do it for the whole pre-season and into the season. I don't think I necessarily put it on him as much as just stating the facts. We need extra people to go through the midfield. He's one of those guys that we think can, but ultimately that'll be dictated to by their pre-seasons.
Do you have an idea what the pre-season is going to look like in terms of games? Like, I think last year was only within the state. Yeah, do you think we travel outside of South Australia?
Yeah, look, that's something that I think the AFL are weighing up at the moment. I'm sure that COVID will have some level of impact on that as well. So, we'll wait for them to outline that down the track. But right now, it's our main focus is to get through to the Christmas break. We'll get blokes back after Christmas, hopefully again in the right condition to hit the remainder of the pre-season running.
And outside of Mitch and Jake, is there anyone, I guess, you're a little bit concerned about going back to their state for the Christmas break in terms of borders? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly watching the situation. There's only so many things you can actually plan for, aren't there? I mean, we spoke to the guys who hadn't already come back on Saturday to try and make them aware that we'd like them back as quickly as they possibly could be last week. But as we've discussed, we've left Mitch and Jake over in WA. They'll come back earlier than the rest of the group after Christmas. But we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out.
So at the moment, all the state guys will go back home for Christmas. You won't say to anyone, try and stay in Adelaide or...
No, look, I mean, I think in fairness to the guys, they've put in a mountain of work for us. A lot of them haven't seen their families for a good period of time or didn't get to do it, for their whole extended break. We're really mindful of the players' well-being as well as their need to work really hard. We're thankful that the guys do work really hard, and so I think it's up to the club now to make sure that we look after the guys as much as we possibly can.